and welcome to this week's Hippie Hyena. Yep, sorry I'm a bit late. I fell asleep and missed the time I usually make the video. It's no excuse, and I apologise, and I'll try not to break your trust in the future. Anyway, this week, we're going to be jumping back into the pool. That is, Paul Joseph Watson. This week, he's got some sort of problem with the Pope, with the current Pope. I wonder what that is, and we'll try and learn a bit more about this situation by diving straight into his video. Let's check it out.
Pope Francis says conservative Catholics who criticise him for failing to defend the faith are performing the work of the devil. Au contraire. If anyone's doing the work of the devil, it's you.
And if there's one person I trust to make that assessment, it would definitely be Paul Joseph Watson. But I fear this may be one of those situations where it's sort of two bad people sort of against each other and you don't really know which one to support. The Pope has been involved, as far as I know, here and there, with kind of covering up some paedophilia, I think. So he's not exactly a good guy. But I imagine that probably isn't what Paul Joseph Watson's got his panties in a bunch about. So let's find out, really.
The Pope claims his critics are whipping up hostility against the Church. They're not attacking the Church, they're attacking you. Why do you act like your actions and statements are separate from and not representative of the Church? You're the supreme pontiff, for sake. You're the figurehead. Where you lead, the Church follows.
Yeah, that's literally contradictory, Paul. What? This is boggling. Look, what? So it's because he's the figurehead of the Church that, like, attacking the Church is attacking him, and attacking him is attacking the Church. That's what it means, because he's the leader of it, and he's saying what?
And where you lead has been pretty disastrous, hasn't it? Mandating everyone who enters Vatican City show a green pass to prove they've been vaccinated. A green pass that Italians are being forced to take or face losing their jobs.
I mean, I'm not really, I'm not into organised religion. I think it's probably largely a bad idea, and I'm not really here to defend the Pope, really, who cares? But that's not disastrous. Where's the disaster? That's just a policy. Like, that's just like something he set out. As far as I'm concerned, I can't really see why that's a bad thing. I suppose you could argue it's discriminatory against people who can't get the vaccine, but that's certainly not what Paul Joseph Watson is upset about, is it? He's just calling it disastrous because he doesn't like it. It's not the same. It's not the same thing. I don't think there's really been any reports at all that I've seen of any disastrous results. Because here's the thing, Paul, like, let's say I want to swing nunchucks about. Let's say I want to swing nunchucks about. Now, if I want to do that by myself in my own home, that's sort of fine if I've got the space. But if I want to sort of go outside and swing nunchucks about, like, in public, people probably aren't going to let me do that. They'll probably say, I'm afraid you can't come inside our shopping centre unless you leave your nunchucks at home. This is a metaphor, Paul. I do imagine you probably have quite a lot of difficulty in understanding it. But what I mean is, it's legitimate to keep people who are spreading around a deadly virus which has claimed the lives of millions. I don't understand why you can't understand this.
A digital ID that tracks their location, a huge lurch towards a social credit score system that could eventually be used to determine, based on level of compliance, whether somebody is allowed to buy or sell.
Sorry, you're only on your 9th vaccination and we don't sell to racists.
This is just mind-bendingly stupid. It's a bloody slippery slope argument applied where it just really doesn't belong. I mean, often slippery slope arguments are quite stupid, but in this case it's even more stupid. It's sort of like saying, well, at the moment we lock up murderers, but that's just a slippery slope to locking up everyone. everyone. No, it isn't. That's ridiculous. You know, we're locking away murderers because they spread death around. Sort of like the unvaccinated. Not saying, for the record, I'm not saying we should lock up the unvaccinated, but it's perfectly legitimate to not want to associate with someone who could be a carrier of a deadly disease. And you can't slippery slope that argument, like it doesn't make sense. Oh, what if you extend that to other people? Well, I'm not gonna, you know? Why would I? And I mean, really, I think the reason why Paul Joseph Watson and people like him would be particularly concerned about a social credit system, which, for the record, I'm also not in favour of too. It sounds awful. I don't think they should do that in China and elsewhere. If they shouldn't extend it to elsewhere, it would be a disaster. But the reason that I don't want it and the reason that he doesn't want it aren't the same. The reason that he doesn't want it is because he knows his behaviour is so terrible and the sort of things that he says is so bad, continuously awful misinformation, racism, misogyny, all kinds of horrible antisocial horrible stuff, that his social credit would be absolutely down the toilet. Absolutely down the toilet. As R.M. Brown's sound clip would say. You watched any R.M. Brown? Pretty funny.
Yeah, when you're literally helping to fulfill the Revelations prophecy of the mark of the beast.
What? Excuse me, pardon? Are you okay? Dude, my God. That's completely insane. Wow. I was not expecting this video to go there. Wow.
That doesn't sound very Christian to me. Sounds more like the work of the devil. Archbishop Carla Maria Vigano warns of a health dictatorship brought in under the banner of the Great Reset. We see heads of nations and religious leaders pandering to this suicide of Western culture and its Christian soul, while the fundamental rights of citizens and believers are denied in the name of a health emergency that is revealing itself more and more fully as instrumental to the establishment of an inhuman, faceless tyranny.
That quote literally sounds like the sort of thing a mental patient who's been put in a sort of home for the criminally insane for like murdering several like children would scrawl on the wall in their own shit. Imagine reading that and instead of thinking, Jesus, this person really needs some help. My God, they must be having a tough time psychologically. Imagine reading that and think, yeah, I think I'll unironically quote that on my YouTube channel to support my views.
And what do you have to say about it? Shut up and take the vaccine. So Christian. Last year you offered your support for gay marriage, saying same-sex couples should be able to form civil unions. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall seeing much sympathy for homosexuality in the Bible.
No, but it does say things like turn the other cheek and love thy neighbour, you know, and I'm pretty sure it says that all people are sort of equal under the eyes of God. So it's kind of implied, Paul. It's kind of implied. I mean, not on the earlier sections. They're pretty awful and have some pretty dubious morality. But they also say, like, people should be murdered for wearing fabrics that have, you know, two different types of, you know, if you're wearing silk mixed with polyester or whatever, they'll murder you for that. So let's say I'm judging that suit is probably made of, you know, it's not going to be nice material, is it? I mean, you can almost feel the static electricity off it coming through the screen. But yeah, it's in the later bits, the good bits, it's pretty much implied, Paul. But it's, you know, to the extent where I feel like if you kind of are really against the gays, as you would call them, you're not really a real Christian, I would say.
Whatever anyone thinks about gay marriage, one thing you can't describe it as is being very Christian. Not according to Pope Francis. What are you gonna do next? Endorse abortion? You also think there's no hell and that souls just disappear. Something that completely contradicts the Catholic Church's 2,000-year-old teaching about the eternal existence of the soul. No soul, no consequences. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Yeah, that sounds like something, but it's definitely not Christian.
Right, Aleister Crowley. Oh, dear. Well, you know, I mean, who gives a shit, basically? what's Christian or not. I would argue that the Pope is probably in a better position to describe what is and isn't Christianity than some racist conspiracy theory on YouTube. But that's just me. That's just the way I see things. Maybe you disagree. I mean, I'm sure Paul definitely does disagree about that. But I would go with the Pope if let's say if I was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, for example, and they asked a question about Christianity or what is Christianity and what isn't, or something along those lines. I don't watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I don't know if they're probably unlikely to ask that sort of question, I'd imagine. But let's say they did, and I had the opportunity to phone a friend, and the only 2 phone numbers I had, for some mad reason, for some mad weird state of affairs, the only 2 phone numbers I had were poor Joseph Watson and the Pope's phone number. I think I'm going to go with the Pope on that one. I'm afraid. In fact, I probably wouldn't phone Paul about anything except horrible food or maybe polyester suits. That those seem less likely to come up than questions about Christianity, to be honest. So, what can we learn from this? Well, very little, really, to be honest. Just that, things we already knew, that Paul Joseph Watson is a sort of snotty little oink who just whinges about everything, just spends his time just whining on about anything he can find. And then I kind of do the same. I find his videos and then whine about them in return, and then, and thus the sort of circle of life is fulfilled. That's basically how it works. So, I'm really sorry this video was late and kind of choppily edited and stuff together, tied together with string and duct tape. That's just how things turn out sometimes. I'm sorry. Yeah, who expected that Hassan Piker would be the replacement on the H3 podcast, the show that, with Ethan Klein? Who expected that? I didn't. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was a fun show. Kind of biting my whole shtick, but then it's not an exactly original one anyway. Anyway, sorry about being so late, guys, and I should be resuming ordinary schedule next week. Sorry, thank you, sorry, bye, sorry.